Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Once again, this is Hector Aguilar of Aguilar Realty Group, along with Ben, your agent from the Aguilar Realty Group, brokered by eXp Realty. Today, we have a special treat for you. We've actually invited Raquel Garcia from the Elite Group, one of our local inspectors here in Southern California, to bring to you a little bit of information about the Elite Group, and more importantly is what to expect at a home inspection. That's our theme for today, right?
Yep.
Many buyers right now is when the process typically is you see a few homes, you write up some offers. In this competitive market, it might take a little bit of time. But when you get your offer accepted, typically what happens is you get your earnest money deposit, you go under contract, and the very first thing that we should at least recommend to you is, hey, when can we schedule the home inspection, right? And so I want to bring this to you because I recently went through an experience in one of my personal transactions where there was a lot of questions about the inspection, right? So I thought, you know what? I'm not the expert. Let's invite an expert to talk about it. So today we bring you Raquel Garcia from the Elite Group. Once again, Raquel, welcome and thank you for joining us. Tell us a little bit about the Elite Group and your experience with them.
Well, I thank you so much, Hector. Being with the Elite Group and just myself personally, education is absolutely top for us. And we just appreciate the opportunity to talk with other people that feel likewise the same about educating their buyers and their agents. It's huge. So I've been with the Elite Group for about a year and a half. I'm a territory manager for the Inland Empire. Okay. And we offer a lot of different services, but number one, this educational period right now is just really cool. You'll ask me what you want to know.
Right on. So part of the reason why we created this interview with you guys is to get a better understanding of home inspectors and home inspection companies, right? What makes the Elite Group a little bit different that I like to use is I know that their inspectors are CAR certified home inspectors. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So what they start out doing is taking a six-week online course with InterNACHI, and that's a certification period. They pay for it themselves, and upon us hiring them, they interview with us, and upon their hire, we will reimburse them the money. Okay. So they need to show and do the initial work. After they have been interviewed by 2 or 3 people, then they are brought on board, and then they go through another 80 hours of training from our chapter president of InterNACHI. That's in-house training. And then after that, then they go with certified master inspectors, and they go out and shadow them for another 3 weeks. So they are extensively trained. And a big, huge part of the training that I found really helpful and what drew me to the Elite Group is that they train on the delivery of content. So it's not a big, crazy, oh, that's horrible, this and this and that. They don't share their opinions. They don't share any of that stuff. It's very, the approach and the delivery of whatever's going on is really top notch. So the California Association of Realtors, in order to be CAR certified, each and every one of our 80 plus inspectors have had a federal background check on themselves. So, and they have to make sure that all their insurances are up to par. We carry $2 million of E&O insurance and 100% workman's comp insurance. So that's a pretty high designation for our inspectors, and to know that we employ over 80 of them working 7 days a week is just, again, elite. So.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah. All right. So Hector's going to come back on, but let's talk about the type of training that the inspectors get.
The type of training, well, like I said, the 6 weeks of online course. Okay. And then inside the office, they sit down with our InterNACHI chapter president, Paul, and he sits down and he generally just directs them all with 80 plus hours in class. And then, and then a lot of shadowing after that with certified master inspectors.
Well, I appreciate you going, for whatever reason, my laptop crashed. So I had to kind of reboot, and here I am again.
Cool.
Technology, right? You got to love it till it works. And
Gotta
then until
love
it
it.
doesn't work, you want to throw it against the wall.
Yeah, gotta roll with it.
Right, exactly. So, it's interesting. It's good to note that not only do they have to get certified to the CAR, which is the California Association of Realtors, but more importantly, your company specifically will put an additional 80 hours of training for each inspector, from what I understand, correct?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. And in terms of shadowing, like how much time do they spend with the senior inspector when they're shadowing their inspectors?
6 weeks.
6 weeks. Okay.
And then we let them go to do one condo a day because we want to make sure that they are focused and they're thorough and detailed and they have the proper format and pictures uploaded. We just want top notch for them. So they only get one a day for a little.
So initially, after their 6-week shadow, then they're only allowed to do one inspection a day?
Correct.
Okay. To ensure quality control and making sure that they're inspecting according to their training, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Excellent. I think it's important to note that the majority of consumers, their question is like, what exactly does an inspector do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And once we book the appointment, let's say it's 1 o'clock. I know there's certain hours, but let's say they arrive to the property. Where does the inspector start his inspection, and what happens during that inspection?
In the very beginning, when he shows up, he's normally 15 to 10 minutes early. You don't have to be there at that point, but because he's going to be inspecting the exterior. Okay, the front yard, the side, the backyard, and then you show up with your clients and at that whatever hour specified, and then he'll be let into the house, and then he'll be checking for and it depends. The hours, it could be 2.5 to 3 hours. Mm-hmm. It depends on the square footage. So like that's an average 2,100 square foot home.
Sure.
And then of course additional structures, pool, spa, guest houses and stuff may take a little bit longer. But then, so going back into getting into the house, he's going to be checking for the doors, the windows, the outlets, the walls, the ceilings. That's pretty much like interior and exterior of the actual structures. But he's also going to be looking out for like looking at all the plumbing, the electrical, the heating and air, the HVAC system, the roof, the foundation, and then of course any major defects like moisture damage.
Okay, so let's focus a little bit on the exterior before we move into the interior. When they're focusing on the exterior and on the roof, what are the 2 or 3 things that they're looking for to note in their inspection, and why?
Okay, well, let's take the roof for instance. He's going to be looking at the shingles or what the type of what it's made of. Is it tiles, shingles? Is it, what is it? And they're going to look for inconsistencies in different products, materials that are used, because sometimes flashings are used, different things are used. Sometimes there's the awning, there's space in between, which is not good either. Things like that.
For example, I know that when you mean materials, I've seen examples of, you have a shingle roof, and then there might have been added like a patio at some point, right? And typically some owners, what they do is instead of continuing that shingle roof, I've seen they'll actually do like tar and rolls, right? So then you have 2 different materials, 2 different consistencies. And typically my inspectors in the past have noted like, look, there's some issues with the seal between the patio and the main structure. So, I kind of want to bring those up because those are legitimate questions that some, buyers are going to have is, how's the condition of my roof right now? It's important to note that inspection is just a general inspection. It's a general overview of the property. They're not licensed roofers, right? They're not licensed electricians. They're not licensed contractors, although some might have GC licenses or have in the past, but that's not their function at the moment. And they're not, plumbing licensed plumbers or things of that nature. Correct. So it's important to note that because I think a lot of times buyers are under the impression that these are general contractors, and that's just not the case. The inspector is a general inspection to give you an idea, maybe a grading system or an update with regards to the property's condition that tells you, look, these are the findings that we found. Now, and Ben can attest to this, right, Ben? I mean, we've done a few inspections and even new construction, and Ben can attest to this because he's a new construction certified agent, is you're going to find issues even in new construction, especially if you're buying a property that was built in the 1950s, 60s, 70s. you're going to find issues. So it's important for consumers to understand that the inspection itself is a general inspection to kind of give you a general idea of the condition of the property, right? So one of the things that I've noted too in the exterior inspection is right now is a hot topic is solar panels, right? So I'm assuming that the inspectors look at the solar panels as well. Are they installed well? Are they causing any mini protrusions? Maybe not if they're installed well, but if they're causing protrusions in the roof, that should be a concern. So this gives a consumer an opportunity to say, look, based on what my findings are, I want to ask the seller to either give me a credit, maybe a credit for closing costs, maybe do the repairs for me, or even I might even want to decide to cancel. And that's what the intent of the inspection is to give you a general idea of the condition of the property, right?
Absolutely.
Ben, do you have any questions with regards to the exterior and maybe what the inspector is looking for?
No, I mean, you hit it on the nail, solar, but what I come across with a lot of my clients, the buyers, they're like, is it necessary to get an inspector, right? Versus just doing it on their own, because with the market how it is, they're trying to save every single penny. But I tell them, for us as an agent, which is pretty good, I think it's good to mention this. If you guys can correct me wrong, but an agent, all we can do is a visual inspection. And a lot of buyers don't know that is agents don't go on the roof. Agents don't go under the couch or anything or push anything out. So we always recommend make sure you do get a professional inspector because they do all the details like you brought up earlier. So
good point, Ben. Good point. And staying on the exterior, I know that many homes here in Southern California have crawl spaces, so that's also part of the exterior inspection. And what should the inspector be looking at when there is crawl spaces typically?
Okay, well, he's going to be looking underneath for any kind of like handyman plumbing type of thing where you have maybe two metal pipes and PVC piping connecting them and just different oddities like that. He's going to
he'll be looking mainly for irregularities in the plumbing, whether it's PVC to galvanized or galvanized to copper, or even making sure if there's any leaks underneath the tubs or the toilets, any sign of any previous leaks or current leaks, right?
Correct. And also using all his senses or her senses, smell. I mean, is there evidence of rodents or is there evidence of any kind of pest issues underneath?
Yeah, I never thought about that, but yeah, it's good to point out. Thank you, Raquel. Now, moving into what we call is the inside, right? Mm-hmm. What can a buyer's expectation be from an inspector when they move inside, right? And I think this is really important to note because, like I said, I prefaced our conversation with that. Our inspections are general, right? They're not detailed or deep. So tell us a little bit about your inspectors and what they're looking for.
Okay, they're going to be looking out for the health and safety features. They are really concerned about making sure that things, if they're working properly, this and that. If they notice doors handles on the wrong side or just some certain weird irregularities. Of course, if they notice there's some type of damage on the ceiling or the walls, they're going to be, use their infrared to make sure feel for heat, and they're going to just go a little bit deeper if it's visibly noticeable, and then that may turn into maybe have somebody check this out. Get a little further, like you said, we're generalists, right? We're kind of like the general physician that you go to and he discovers an irregularity in your heartbeat, he's going to refer you to a cardiologist, and that's
absolutely what a wonderful analogy. I had a transaction happen to me once before where the inspector went, it was vacant, the property was vacant, there was no appliances, right? Of course, they run the AC and they run the furnace, and that turns on okay because guess what? There's no appliances, there's no washer dryer, there's no refrigerator, there's nothing there's no TVs, there's nothing really overloading, let's say, the electrical system. Well, a couple weeks in, they move all in their stuff, and all of a sudden we have breakers popping, we have lack of electricity through the house, the washer's turning off. And so, I get a phone call from my client said, hey, what did the inspector do? Right. And so that's what brought this conversation about is I want to make sure that buyers are aware that many times the inspectors or inspections are limited to what they're able to inspect, right? Number one is,
Right.
in my experience, I know inspectors, they don't move sofas, they don't move refrigerators, they don't move TVs. What they do is they inspect what they have easy access to. And the reason why is because if a property is occupied, there's liability, right? We don't want the
Mhm.
inspector to get injured, and we don't want to put the seller in a position where now they have an insurance claim because the inspector got injured, or maybe he knocked over the TV and now the TV is broken, et cetera, et cetera. But he is going to inspect, is it functioning, right, properly? Sometimes they even check for sure as far as the GFCIs. Are they in the right place near within 6 feet, or I think it's 6 feet within a water, like a sink or a
Mhm.
faucet, right? Are they grounded? Many times homes that were built in the 50s and 60s and 70s or even up to the 80s are not grounded. Why? Because it wasn't a requirement back then, right? Newer builds now require them to be grounded. But of course, as a consumer, like, well, the property is not grounded, I don't want it. Well, you have to understand you're buying a house that's older, that wasn't built that way, and that can be fixed, right?
It's an easy
So
fix.
it's
Sure.
an easy
Yeah.
fix. I mean, it's not over the moon to do that, right?
Right.
So it's important to note that those inspections are really general, right? So the other issue that he had was, in terms of the plumbing, I know that inspectors go into a property and they'll open up all the water faucets, they'll open up the tubs, the
Mhm.
showers, and they let them run for a while, and then they'll come back and they'll know, like, oh yeah, the water's flowing properly. Yeah, absolutely, it was flowing properly at the moment. It's a window in time, right? Now
Mhm.
go back 2-3 weeks later, now they're having flushing issues. Now it's being used. Now there's all the debris that's being put down there, and people are using it. Now you have a whole family, and so now you discover other plumbing issues that weren't relevant in the inspection. What do you say to that, or how do your inspectors respond to that when we're having those kind of issues, right? I mean, what is typically the next step to kind of avoid those situations?
Typically, I haven't heard about too many of those issues coming up in the time that I've been here, but when we go in, it's the visual inspection and the functionality of things at the time. We don't know what happens between then and the time that they move in.
Right.
If they would like, I mean, if everything checked out fine and then all of a sudden, boom, then they can use our warranty. You can file a claim and then use one of our warranties to solve the problem.
Wonderful.
Absolutely.
Now,
Yeah.
does the Elite Group provide a warranty with their inspection?
Yes, we have a 90-day warranty that comes with our Elite package, which is a
That's
standard Elite package. Yes.
That's amazing. Most inspectors, and it's good to know that most inspectors don't offer that. So if you're looking for a good inspection company, remember that ask them if they offer a 90-day warranty, right? So that we can get those issues addressed. Because, I believe that with this particular case, which with this client, it was a headache. And, I like to make sure that my clients are satisfied 100% because I rely on the referral business. So I had to take charge, make sure that gets fixed and addressed so that they're happy, because ultimately they're going to live in the home, not me, not Ben, not yourself, not the inspection company. But it's important to note that, if you want a detailed inspection, let's say you want a camera scope of the plumbing before you buy it, well, that's additional inspection. That's not something that the Elite Group may or may not offer, but that's an additional expense. It's not part of your general inspection.
Correct.
If you want a licensed electrician to go out and test the electrical, look at the panel and all that good stuff, look at the power cables coming into the actual breaker, again, it's going to take a licensed professional to look at that, right? And it's important for consumers to understand that that's absolutely necessary if you want to move forward, right? But the only reason you should do that is if the general inspection comes back and notes a lot of issues in those areas. And that's kind of where us, like myself and Ben, the professionals, will take the inspection report, in addition to maybe even calling the inspector, because many of your inspectors are always like, hey, here's my business card. I'm going to send you the inspection. If you have any questions, you want to discuss it, please call me. I'll clarify any questions you have. And that's important because Ben and we don't know what to answer. That's not our expertise, right? But at least they have the opportunity to talk to the inspector and be able to get those questions answered so that the consumer or the buyers can say, you know what? I want to dig a little deeper. I want to get a professional plumber out there, or I want to get a licensed electrician out there, or you know what? I might need to get a roof certification for the roof because I just don't think it's going to last me, 24 months, a year, 5 years. I want to get that. So those are some of the concerns that we've seen over time. I've been in this business going on 30 years, and I've seen properties that are total fixers to properties that are absolutely walk-in ready turnkey. And guess what? Each and every one of them have something wrong. There's not one perfect house. Why? Because they get used. There's usage. There's time that lapses. There's different codes now. So yeah, you're gonna find something. But the general idea of the inspection is to be able to take that information as a consumer, look through it, go through it with your agent, myself, Ben, or any agent you're working with, and then figure out, okay, what do we need to ask the seller to repair, right? And if we don't get a repair, Ben, what do we ask for if we don't get a repair? We typically ask for a credit, right? Will they credit us? Will they credit us or even do a price reduction? But in this market right now that we're in, we're not going to get that because there's 15 or 20 people lined up to buy the same house, right? But at the very least, you're going to have a report in front of you that's going to show you the condition of the home. And guess what? It's basically going to be a decision. You're going to say, hey, you know what? These are issues that I can take care of when I move in if the seller doesn't take care of them. But we're always going to try. We're always going to take a swing, right? Wayne Gretzky always used to say, like, you're never going to make a shot you don't take. So we're going to take that shot. We're going to sit with you. We're going to do a request for repairs, maybe a request for credit. But if we don't get it, at least the consumer can say, I know what I can fix. I know what I have to address when I move in. And I like the house. I like the location. I like the school district. I like everything it offers my family, but I know what I have to take care of. So that's kind of the point of why this conversation is happening. And I appreciate the Elite Group because I've been working with them for many years. I want to say maybe 15, 20 years. And I use a couple others when they're completely booked that are also really good. But, a consumer has a choice. Find 2 or 3 different inspectors. Make a phone call. Ask them questions. Are they certified? Do they have a warranty? How detailed is their inspection? When will I get my inspection? Is it digital? Do they take pictures? Tons of questions to ask. So lots of good information. I hope that this was valuable to you. And, before closing, Raquel, and I know I've probably said more than you expected, honestly.
Yes, that's all good.
But, I'm passionate about providing service to our clients. That's part of our values, right, Ben? Providing our client service, 100% making sure that they're happy at all times, because we know they're the lifeblood of our business, and we want to work with partners like yourself that are certified, that are going to back up their product, they're going to help our clients and not leave them hanging when it turns south, because sometimes it does, right? Properties, you move in and all of a sudden you have these issues, right? Mm-hmm. So in closing, Raquel, if you would do me a favor and just go over maybe some additional services that Elite provides to our consumers that they might be interested in. What other services do the Elite Group provide?
I do have a quick question before she goes into additional services.
Absolutely, Ben. What's your question?
Okay, Raquel. So, with the market being really, really tough for buyers to get their offer, accepted, one of the biggest things is, maybe shortening the inspection time. So on the contract is 17 days. Mm-hmm. What is the average? Maybe we can shorten it so that we can make our offers stronger.
I would go no less than 5 days.
Okay.
And I know I'm just saying that off of experience with agents that call me up and say, we have a 5-day contingency. We opened escrow 2 days ago. What could we do now?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, but we have the flexibility to accommodate. And so like yesterday I scheduled one for the same day in the afternoon because her other inspector was sick. So I'm like, okay, I got this. And yeah.
That really helps.
Question, Ben.
That really helps because, anything to shorten the contingency to make our offers better. And we're a team. So, so 5 days look way better than 7 or 10 days. So thank you for that. Appreciate it.
And Raquel, as a follow-up to that question is, tell me a little bit about how many inspectors do you have? Because, sometimes when I have my transaction coordinator call to book that appointment, guess what? Sometimes they're not available, right? So I have to go to my B choice or my C choice. And I want to avoid having to do that. Like, what's your guarantee in terms of like how soon we can get an inspector on our transactions?
I can guarantee 24 hours, and I can do the hard work and call in the troops for the same day. And that just takes a little bit more work, but not a big deal. We have 83 inspectors trained, like certified inspectors, 83, and we work 7 days a week. 7 days.
That's pretty awesome. And I'm assuming that on average, how many homes are they inspecting per day?
On the average, 2. Most of them are 2, just 2. Yeah, because our idea is to return the report, the digital report with, all the pictures and everything like that within 24 hours. But typically we're getting them there less than 24 hours that night if need be, because, things come up, stuff happens, and you want to know that you've got your report and be prepared to write your request for repairs or renegotiate whatever you want to do. So yeah, no, it's important to you guys.
Absolutely.
You guys are
Ben said, right now with our contingencies being shorter and shortening our contingency to be more attractive, certainly the sooner we have the report in the buyer's hands, the sooner we can sit down and do our request for repairs and be able to close and remove that contingency, right? Because ultimately sellers want to close and buyers want to get their contingencies fulfilled and make sure that they're buying a good property. So I'm glad to know that we can book something within 24 hours. And obviously we're not going to do a contingency of 2 days, as you recommended. I think 5 is probably reasonable.
Yeah.
I typically do 7 days or less, and I try and book it within the first 2 or 3 days, because I know you guys are busy. So my expectation is, hey, I want someone tomorrow. No, I know it's going to take 48 hours to 72 hours to find someone that's adequate. And one of the things that I do like about the Elite Group is that you guys not only hire certified inspectors that are certified through CAR, but more importantly, that you guys put them through your own training, your rigorous training, to make sure that they know what they're inspecting, and that when they put out a good inspection report, that it's detailed, broken down, and the consumers expect the report almost instantaneously. So having it within 24 hours is definitely a big plus. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
What other services do you guys offer?
Okay, great. Thanks for asking. Besides residential inspections, we also do commercial inspections. We have a great commercial division. We're just incredible. We have sewer inspections that we go take a camera and we go down through the main trap and follow the piping all the way to the main line and the city main line to just make sure there's no intrusions into the piping.
Fantastic. Is that something that we can order when we first order our inspection? Like, give that option to the consumer? Hey, the general inspection is X. If you want to add the sewer inspection at the same time, it's going to be an additional X more. But can we order at the same time, or does it have to be different times?
You can order it at the same time, and we will try our absolute best. 95% of the time, we can get it done at the same exact time as a home inspection. So yeah. Sometimes it may be 2 hours later or maybe a day later. Sometimes they don't always coincide with each other. We do have 2 or 3 inspectors that have both sewer lines and our home inspectors. So we try to match it up with those people first.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Ben, you had a question?
Go ahead.
Oh, no. I was just agreeing. That's good. Okay.
Fantastic. What other services do you provide as well, Raquel?
We also provide mold inspection. We have a licensed mold inspector on here. Fantastic. And so he can come in also. That's additional, obviously. We have a licensed roof inspector, a couple of them. And termite. Yeah, we work with termite too. So we do termite inspections also. Our home inspectors are different and separate from our termite inspectors. Those are licensed termite inspectors.
Wonderful. That's great news. Great news.
Yeah. And roof, I told you about roof.
I'm assuming that if anyone's, if there's any buyers out there, whether you guys work with the Aguilar Realty Group or not, or you're in escrow right now, certainly the Elite Group, you can find them online. I know that I've been to their Rancho location many occasions for trainings, just for different events, but they are local. They have over 83 inspectors. You can find them online. You can ask them all the questions. I'm sure their ratings are, for me, double thumbs up because I've been using them for many years. So I wanted to make sure that people have that resource available. If you're starting your journey and buying a home, or you need to sell a home, sometimes too, you want to do an inspection before you sell a home, just to make sure you take care of all those little issues ahead of time. Absolutely. The Elite Group can definitely help us with that as well. We typically recommend it just to make sure that we minimize those little issues when a home inspector or a home buyer comes in with this inspection. But, reach out to us. Ben and I and my team are ready to help you, buy your home and negotiate, help you through the inspection process. And together with the Elite Group, we'll make sure that as a consumer, we provide you all the information that you need regarding a property so you guys can make a good decision with regards to the home you're buying. So that's it from my end. Raquel, wanted to thank you. Ben, thank you for joining us as well.
Thank you for coming on.
wonderful information, and we look forward to continued working relationship with you and the Elite Group, and we appreciate you being here. Once again, I'm Hector Aguilar of Aguilar Realty Group, along with Ben, your agent, and Raquel from the Elite Group. Thanks again, everyone. We'll see you next week for our next episode of bringing more value to our consumers. Take care, everyone.
Bye, everyone.